Why should we care about being likable? Isn't it a personality thing that some people have and some people don't? And is being likable good at all? Does it equate to being a nice person? Becoming a nice person or being called a nice person nowadays can sometimes translate to having a weak character. Well, the topic we're addressing today is not about being a people pleaser, and it's not about being a person who says yes to everything. Today I will share with you simple tips that you can start intentionally applying to become a magnet that attracts people towards you. And if you're already doing them, you'll know the effect that they have on how people feel about you. And these tips as well will help you understand the reasons behind the positive experience you have with people you like. So without any further ado, let's dive into the video. Point number 1 is show genuine interest. Many people go throughout life unnoticed. And on the other hand, there are some people who go throughout life with a big ego. They think that they are everything. And to win both categories, you only have to show genuine interest in these people. Their religion, their skin color, their origin shouldn't matter. And for sure, if you look at people this way, you will have something to learn from them. A janitor can teach you something that you don't know. And a CEO as well can teach you something that you don't know. Always have this mindset. When you meet new people, always try to be curious about them. Consider every person you meet as a new world to discover. And when this integrates in your character and how you interact with people, you'll make people feel good about themselves. And they will attribute this feeling automatically to you. Actively listen to others, ask questions, and be genuinely curious about others. When you do that, you're letting them know that there's something interesting you see in them that you want to know more about or potentially learn from. Point number 2 is smile and be approachable. This is something that you see me doing in most of my videos. And this comes natural to me. I'm a person who is always smiling. Having a warm smile and an approachable demeanor make you more inviting and more likable in general. It's effortless. But obviously you need to have in mind that there is difference between a fake smile and a genuine smile. A fake smile involves only your lips, while a genuine one involves more facial muscles. Usually involves also the eyes. And depending on the setting you're in, the smile signals different messages. There is a smile when you're welcoming a person, there is a smile when you are agreeing with a person, and there is also the ironic smile when you're dismissing what someone says. You get the idea. But the main thing is, when you're about to meet someone, and maybe you are not in the mood, try to think about something positive before coming to this room or before attending this meeting. And this way your smile will come across as genuine. And sometimes I can myself be going through things and not feeling that good. And when I meet a person that I know, I will switch my mood to becoming more welcoming, And this way you're radiating positive energy from you. If you work in a space where you deal with people on a daily basis and you have always a sad face or a poker face, it does not invite people to come to that place. And people who work in restaurants, they know very well about that. The food can be excellent, but if the staff was not agreeable, we wouldn't want to go to the same restaurant again. And because people who work in restaurants know that, and especially there are tips involved in the story, they try always to smile. I think Cristiano Ronaldo met his wife in a Gucci store. And I know that these stores usually employ only people who are likable, approachable, they always have a smile. We tend to judge people subconsciously without even knowing by looking at them. And sometimes we have the wrong perception. We think badly about someone, and once we start to speak with them, we realize that we were wrong. And this is usually because they were sending the wrong signals. So if being more approachable is something you want, consider having a warm smile when you enter into places and when you are meeting new people. Tip number 3, remember names. People love to hear their names. It makes interactions more personal. And I think this is obvious to many of you, and you can see this everywhere in marketing and in sales campaigns. You can see in email marketing as well. We have softwares that have tools to make the emails personalized. If you receive emails from companies, it was sent to 1 million people, and the email that you will receive will have your name on it. And if this point is new to you, I recommend you read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I think it's a must read for everyone. And what Dale Carnegie in this book says is that a person's name is the sweetest sound in any language. And he's absolutely right. Mentioning someone's name takes your interaction with them to another level. So develop a skill to remember people's name. When you meet a new person and they tell you their name, make sure you heard it right. Repeat it to them before you say what's your name. And in that same conversation, mention the name again. And after that person leaves, have a note and write down their name so that you remember it. Next time you see them from afar and you forgot the name, because we tend to forget names. How many people we meet? We meet a lot of people. We forget names. This is something normal. But before you interact with them again, you just open up your notes and you'll remember directly. I have a note as well where I have many names, and I usually, when I meet that person again for the second time, hey, Martin. I remember Martin because it was the last person I met and his name was Martin. And usually I see it when I mention anyone's name, they feel important. It makes the person feel they exist somewhere. I told you a lot of people go throughout life unnoticed. They don't feel important. And so when you give that to people, sometimes they don't know why or what's the magic that you have on them, but you become really so likable. And once you know this, you will start to notice people who are using this tip and those who don't. And when you meet people who are using this, and usually, I don't know about you, but usually you'll meet a lot of people who mention your name a lot, to build a connection with you. But in the back of your mind, you'll be, I know what you're doing there, but that's cool, So it's a very important thing, and you should also have it in the to-do list of becoming a more likable person. It signals many positive things, and you're overall a charismatic, positive person. Tip number 4, avoid gossiping and avoid speaking bad about people in their absence. And if you're invited to join, clearly state that you don't enjoy being part of an unproductive conversation. I don't want to be a comedian at the expense of someone else. And I don't want just to speak for the sake of speaking. There is nothing constructive in the conversation. I don't want to join it. And I don't want also to teach people how to behave. They can mind their business and I mind my own. I usually don't like to surround myself with people who gossip or who speak bad about people because I find them untrustworthy. But sometimes you can find yourself, life can put them on your way. And I once was with a person with whom I was doing something. I was working on a project, and he is usually this type of person that he likes to make fun of people, talk behind people, And that particular time, I was the only person with him. So he was giving a comment about a person's look and his girlfriend. And I kept doing what I'm doing as if I heard nothing. But then he invited me to speak. And at that point, I had to tell him that, look, man, I don't really enjoy making fun of people. I had to tell him that, not for him to change his behavior, but I had just to state my opinion about this. I told him that we as humans, we are so weak. I look sometimes at people who are so arrogant, and I wonder, how can't these people think that they can just, in a car accident, lose everything and be paralyzed? And so I told him that we humans are weak. If I make fun of someone because of how he looks or a deficiency that he has, what makes me sure that this thing cannot be in me tomorrow? I can have a car accident and lose my sight. I can have a car accident and be paralyzed for good. And another thing is, when someone speaks bad about others, you should know that they speak also bad about you. So you don't want to signal that. You don't want to be blacklisted by people because of that. Because this is what I would do. I would blacklist you. And many people know this. Many people know that when you cheat on others, you will cheat on them. When you speak bad about others, you will speak also bad about them. So pay attention to that. And if gossiping is part of your nature and something that you grow up doing, consider taking actions to fix that. Tip number 5 is avoid blaming and condemnation. No one wants to hear that they are wrong. And sometimes people can be wrong, but it is not constructive to focus on who is wrong in the situation. Try to be solution-oriented. Of course, understanding the problem is half of the solution, but not who did this problem. At the beginning, you can understand the problem, understand how you will solve the problem that you have at hand, and then you can communicate with the person to understand what was the root cause of this problem. And based on the nature of the problem, if you know that this problem, based on its nature, cannot be repeated, then there is no reason for you to blame that person. What happened cannot be changed, and the only thing we can do is to fix it. So you have to be pragmatic about it. Sometimes you can be angry, and you have all the right to be angry at some people, but sometimes people need you to save them from the trouble they're in, from the trouble they have made, from the mistake they have done. And you, by saving them, you gain their respect and you become more likable. We see in large corporations, those who are in managerial positions and human resources, they tend to have this emotional intelligence, and they know how to deal with people. They know that people make mistakes, but they know how to interact with them and how to solve problems with them in a way that do not demean and belittle the person below them. And so if you are in a position where someone has done something wrong, try to be solution-oriented. Of course, understand the problem. And when you have to address the root cause of the problem, then you do it in a constructive and a polite way. And we're saying that people in managerial positions have this trait. Maybe they get trained to have this skill, or maybe people who have this skill get chosen for these managerial positions. But it is an important skill to have. And I think to have this, you need to be emotionally intelligent. And you need to know what the other person is going through and how his position is. And according to that, you try to moderate the situation and solve the problem. If you see someone that he is in trouble, you know that he himself knows that he is in trouble, then you don't need to put more pressure on him because he already knows that he has made a mistake. When you need to make it known that what he did is a mistake is when the person is negligent and he is not aware of the problem that he did. But in all cases, when you address problems, try to do it in a way that is constructive and is private. If you can do it privately, this is an important thing. And this takes me to the other tip I have in the list, which is admit your mistake. When you've done something wrong, admit it. We were speaking now if you were in the position of addressing the problem, but now we're speaking if you were the person who did the problem. If you want to be likable, you should be the person who admits his mistake, right? So when you admit your mistake, you're easing the tension. You know, I was once in the gym, I was lifting heavy weights and I dropped the dumbbell and it made some noise. And we have a rule in our local gym that we cannot drop the weights. So I had the manager of the gym coming at me shouting. And I looked at her, I said, yeah, it was out of my control, but you're right. I could have taken something lighter. And when I did that, she didn't expect that. She expected that I'll be shouting with her. Like her demeanor changed when I said that. She said, no, it's fine. I just wanted to tell you that it's not allowed to drop heavy weights. So, you know, sometimes you have just to admit your mistake and don't have your ego stand between you and solving a trivial problem. For sure, if I was having my ego and I would be angry about this, I would tell her, this is not how you speak with your customers. I would give her a lesson of how she should be talking to customers, because I have many lessons I could teach her at that point, at that spot. But if I would do that, I would make her feel bad. I did a mistake, I admit it. So when you admit your mistake, even people who are harsh, people who don't know how to deal with people, they will respect you more. I think that after I responded that way, I felt that she regretted the way she approached me. I felt that in her. So this is something that is very important. When you do something, avoid denying. and don't be defensive. And talking about mistakes, be also open to criticism. If you go throughout life and you know that there are many things you don't know, and there are many things that you will have to learn and you need to learn, you're always open to hearing other people's opinion. When someone criticizes you or give you a feedback, try sincerely to understand their point of view. Because many times people will notice a lot of bad things on you and they wouldn't care even to give you a feedback. They would just pass, they have their own problems. No one cares. Yeah, he's doing this wrong. No one cares, they pass. Someone is exercising the wrong way, they might hurt their back, deadlifting, and people wouldn't even bother to go and tell the person that they're doing something wrong. So try to consider receiving feedbacks as receiving gifts, because the person bothered to talk with you. The person bothered to give you advice. And if you have this mindset and you sincerely try to understand the other person's point of view and from where they are coming, you will genuinely assess if this is something that you genuinely need to incorporate or change. And whether you incorporate it or not should not change how you receive this feedback. You should always thank the person who gives you feedback. You'll find people who will give you feedback to put you down, and these people are very obvious. I can differentiate between a person who's being constructive and between a person who's just hateful. And also the way I receive both types of feedbacks is the same. Unless someone is insulting me, then maybe I will not thank them for insulting me. And if someone is insulting you and you still want to be easygoing with it, just listen. It comes from this ear, it goes from that ear, and that's it. You don't have to be reactive to things. And this is also part of what makes you a likable person. Someone is attacking you verbally for sure, and others are witnessing that, to still remain intact. You don't react. You can say whatever you want, doesn't bother me, doesn't hurt me. So you have all the rights to say what you say. Last but not least, be comfortable with saying no. Now that we have already applied all the tips that we have mentioned in this list, people already know what type of person you are based on their interactions with you. And now saying no sometimes and turning down some requests does not change how these people perceive you. You don't need people only to like you. You need people also to respect you. And it's correlated. So now that people already like you, you need to demonstrate qualities in you that people will like and respect. When you turn people down sometimes politely, it shows that you have other priorities. You don't want to be a people pleaser. So your availability and what you give to people shouldn't come at your own expense. Feel free to decline sometimes. It's very important. Politely say, I would love to come, but I have some other things to do. The psychological effect this has is very positive. Your presence then is worth more and your company will never be taken for granted. So you moderate your availability and you balance the things you say yes to and the things you say no to. And after you do that for a while, the moment you sacrifice and choose to not turn someone down, your deed will be much more appreciated. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this video. I hope that you got some value from it. There are many things that makes you likable that cannot be in a short video like that. But these are very important points that if you apply, I guarantee you, a lot of your personal relationships, your professional relationships will be taken to another level. And most importantly, a lot of opportunities will come your way. I hope that helped. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I will catch you in the next one.